Alright. I know you wanted this back, so I'm saying it again. Here we have Cantarella, the 36th head of the Phasalia family, and generally very jellyfish and poison-ish themed. Looking at the front, she has a very mid to bottom heavy design. At the top there isn't that much, aside from the big earrings and the maid-like top accessory. I don't really know what you call that. Is it just a hairband? It's a headdress. Okay. She has a little bit of fabric around the shoulders, but the main point of her is her big jellyfish feeler-like hair, as well as the long ruffly dress. Besides that, her legs don't have much going on aside from the logo. Looking at her from the side, she actually doesn't have as much volume. Her hair doesn't go so far out as I'm used to. I know a lot of characters have their hair like free so it doesn't clip with anything, but I haven't really seen her much in game yet because I didn't do the story yet, so I don't know if it's very flowy or just moves around in one piece. Aside from that, she wears a full lace bodice going all the way from the side of her chest down to her arm. Again, the very long dress, which along with the hair can also be seen as jellyfish feelers. It is multi-layered with lots of ruffles, but we'll get into that later. Looking at the back of her, you can see she has a lot of details hanging off of her headband, like this dangly thing and the rose. You can see her hair better, which is actually split in the middle to showcase some back, and her dress isn't mirrored. It's actually more favored to one side as it is split in the front. Looking at the last side, you can see that it is quite balanced. This side has a lot more colors and a lot more things going on down here, while it is missing the flower up here, which she has on the other side, while this side doesn't have as many colors down here. Looking at her from the front, her face card is absolutely fucking lethal. She is so pretty. I love the use of makeup here as it draws a lot of attention to her, well, main focus, her tongue tacit mark, as well as her face in general, with the stark contrast to the rest of the color palette being purple, while her makeup is a bright red, having red lipstick as well as very glittery red eyeshadow and eyeliner. Her eyes don't have any special design, but I feel like it would be overkill anyway if they did. She actually has things on her cheeks on both sides, having this really cute little mole on this side, and these two teardrops probably representing something like poison on this side. Aside from that, her bangs are very layered, having this front piece which actually has a lot of little strands and flips everywhere, and then also this back part which is a bit flatter to fit into the headpiece. Talking about the headpiece, it is very ruffled, having multiple layers of it, one being very flared out, one just being this little wavy kind of flowerish pattern, and then the headband going through it, also holding two flowers and a little bow on the other side. I think this headpiece is really pretty, and it also binds into another thing on her waist which we'll be looking at later, but this flower you will see again. Moving around to the back of it, she does just have these little dangly things, all kind of like woven from the headpiece with these gems attached. Aside from that, her hair doesn't really have anything special. It is just a lavender to lighter gray purplish color, while the inside isn't as much purple, but more kind of like a light blue cyan color. Besides that, she also has these really big earrings, which do match with a lot of the other gold designs on her outfit. Now, something I do have to mention, because I was going to show you her tacit mark, it isn't there. They actually uploaded the wrong model, I think. So I will just show you what KuroGames did to make her tongue move like that. This might be a little bit cursed. KuroGames actually made presets for her tongue. Now I will only show you one from the front because the other one looks like something you would see in not so safe for work anime. Now normally the tacit mark would be here, so just imagine it. But she has this really cute like little bleb you can make her do. And then the other preset, if we go to the side, don't think I can show this from the front. Oh wait. I upped the value on that one, I forgot! Yeah, you can call me a coward, I'll only be showing this one from the side. Let's slightly, I think slightly is fine. I can actually show this, but I might have to traumatize you. Because she has these presets, normal characters I will show here on the screen just have their tongue normally in their mouth. What Cantarella has, she has the new enemy to the game. Her mouth is literally just a blob in her face. So I can show you the preset now because it's just a blob. It's so beautifully cursed. And I can show you the curse thing I did earlier as well because I can actually raise values of how much it can move and moving a bit lower. Now, as I've said before, this is just a lace bodice. It is actually separated into 3 parts. One coming off from her collar, which again has like more of these golden details going all the way down, which in Kuro fashion, they float and don't belong together for some reason. They're not attached. But the string also has these petal leaf-like things going off from it, which are very poisonous colored. Like you have this very dark purple and this very like toxic-ish green, which I think is a very nice contrast to the like lavender-ish colors we have up here, as well as binds into this lower part. Aside from that, she does have like some lace to not showcase. I'm trying to play around this, please bear with me. Cleavage as much. But she doesn't have as much like side boob as some other characters because it is covered up, though you can still see the outline because that was very necessary to the plot. Please trust me, bro. Also, this doesn't line up, does it? Moving on to her arm, and I actually have more selected this time just so you can see how the lace part flows into it. You can see that the lace here actually goes under where her sleeve starts. And while we have this lace going under here, and also have this very pretty pattern, which we'll get to when we look at her back, this isn't actually where the sleeve starts. You can see this is kind of just a drape over, while the actual sleeve is this lace glove, which is merely connected to this by a little blue part inside of it. Anyways, looking at the sleeve itself, it is a white to blue gold kind of ruffle with a lot of sparkle and this kind of like light to dark blue bow. I kind of want to call it a butterfly of some kind. Might just be a bow. It kind of looks weird. I can't really discern what it is. Now, while you can see the lace having some skin kind of showing through, this actually has it too. I don't really know why. With this blue part and the white part, there wouldn't really be any chance for skin to show through, but there isn't much to say about the white part. But the blue part has a similar but reversed gradient to this bow on top. Aside from that, it has a lot of gold lines and glitter, and actually has a third layer under, which I assume holds this to the arm. Moving further down, we have the same lace pattern as we have on the bodice, though this time I would argue it has a lot less detail, and in comparison, isn't as busy as the chest pattern. Moving down, just like at the top, we have the lace flowing into more white fabric, which does flare out in a more petal flower-like way, similar to the flower we saw on our headpiece. Moving down to the hand, we actually have a very delicate ornament. In the same style as the other gold ornaments, she has this golden ring kind of thing. Don't really know what it's called. I know it's like a loop for the sleeve, but it is very pretty. Now this is drawn on, and I can kind of excuse that because rigging things around the hand, which kind of goes over a knuckle and or different bones, is kind of difficult to do with objects that aren't just rings. Something to note, which I do really like going into on every character, is that her nails are very pretty. I did like the very red gradient on Jinshi's skin, I think, and a lot of characters so far have had like a either little blue gradient or a little red gradient, but hers are actually quite prominently purple. Moving on to the back of her, and I actually have to make her bald for this one. She actually has a lot of detail to her back, which you don't really see due to her hair. Similar to the front, the lace here is layered, having more of these intricate designs going down the back. Though in comparison to the little waves you have here, it has a lot more wavy, pointy petal-like patterns back here, as well as an actual cutout. Now, just like the front, she has these little gold details going down her back, which these again are drawn on. I don't really understand the decision, but I know something similar was done with Jinxi, or at least her skin, where some details were first drawn on and then polished out later, but I can maybe excuse this away because it is under hair all the time and would just be unnecessary load and bones on her, but I just think it would be prettier modeled out. I don't think I can show her full volume on the screen, but you've seen the top side now, you've seen the bottom side. I did the same thing with Changli and it worked out, so just bear with me. Moving further down, we do have her dress. Starting with the upper half, we still have this cutout being lined with lace, as well as the colors starting from the top here. Now the dress has a very weird lining, because here we have the cutout and then another line under, but it kind of just goes under the cup here. Just kind of makes this part look separate in a way. I don't really know how to explain it. Aside from that, the rest of the cut in the upper half actually is quite sharp. You can see it is jagged here, another jag here, another jag here, and another jag here. It just seems very pointy in comparison to the rest of the ruffles. Now aside from that, she does have another, albeit drawn on, going all the way around her waist and probably holding this thing, though it seems more attached to the dress than the belt. Might just be something to have at the waist of her. But again, it is weirdly drawn on, aside from these little gold parts, which you can even see these little holes and like jagged edges in the line art, which you will never be able to look this close in the game, I give them that, but I'm just really not used to having like belts and core details being drawn on like this. Moving down further to the rest of her dress, at an overview, she has around 6 layers to her dress. Like I said before, it is more heavy on this side than it is this side due to the slit at the front. Going through the layers, they are very detailed. Like I've said in Brand's and Carlotta's dissection, they've been playing around with textures on the actual clothing. For example, if you zoom in into this part and that part, you see this scale-like pattern over the gradient. At the front, you have this dark blue to cyan gradient and albeit smaller scales. Also, the topmost layer of this has the flowers we saw earlier on the headpiece. Now, the second layer to this is the one that actually connects to the upper layer of her dress, being painted in all of these pretty, again poison-like colors as we saw in her neck piece. Instead of more jellyfish feelers, this kind of just looks like poison to me. Moving on to the other layers, they are a bit less detailed, having more of the glitter and lace pattern on this, as well as having the same pattern aside from the gold stripes as her sleeve. This layer in particular is kind of 2 layers together. It strings from the front here going all the way down under this layer, and actually has a very pretty white to purple gradient to fit to these layers and to the dress at the same time. To me personally, the inside of the dress is also really pretty, having this wavy pattern, a dark purple to light blue gradient, as well as more of these scales. I think the light blue is a great contrast to the darker purples of the dress, and the dark purple is a great contrast to the upper part of the dress. Moving on to her legs, we do have these, I don't want to call them grandma panties, but you know. We do have the under part of her lace, let's just call it that, having a garter going from it to connect to the thigh high. Now if you didn't notice, she does have some pudge. I like pudge. Tiny pudge, but pudge. She also has an actual ornament being modeled out around this. On the one thigh high she has, you can see the Phasalia logo, and this one is actually quite well kept. A lot of the other thigh highs on, let's say, Camellia for example, are a little ripped, while hers are perfectly pristine. The other leg doesn't really have anything aside from more lace. Moving on to her feet, she only has these little high heels. Looking over the drawn on part though, they fit more into the lace than the rest of her dress, being a bit more wavy patterned rather than having any kind of like jellyfish motif. Looking at some textures of her, you can see they kept to upside and downside a bit more stricter this time. For example, here's the upper side with tons of her jewelry, here's the cloth part being exclusively her dress, and here's the lower part being mostly her legs and shoes. Looking at the face texture, I feel like you can always see the makeup they wear much better. This looks a lot more sparkly in the texture overview than what it does on the model. Looking at her in-game, I actually love the concept of a character fighting with a different weapon than what they have. She is a rectifier user, but the main weapon she uses is the umbrella she carries. Not just that, but also the way she carries it is quite unique. Not only bashing enemies over the head with it, but she can also have a little Mary Poppins-like moment with it, which is really cute. Not only that, but her idols and attack ending poses are also quite special. Playing around with the little rectifier as well as just yeeting the umbrella into oblivion. To summarize, I feel like all the drama around her outfit is a bit much. I do like her, and I also find the wet mode they added for her a bit odd, but I feel like if you overlook all the sexualization they do with her, she is a very pretty and story-wise quite fleshed out character. And with that, I think that was it for Cantarella's dissection. I hope you enjoyed and have a nice day. Bye bye.